66 million years ago, the sky fell. Not with a whimper, but with the roar of a world-ending event. The Chicxulub asteroid, a monumental, mile-wide fist of stone and metal, smashed into the Earth, vaporizing the coastline, plunging the planet into a devastating, prolonged night, and bringing the glorious, terrifying reign of the non-avian dinosaurs to a sudden, catastrophic close. The world that emerged from the ash and darkness was a land of ghosts. The ecological thrones, once occupied by Tyrannosaurus and Triceratops, stood empty, waiting for new royalty. For a brief, intoxicating moment in the dawn of the Cenozoic Era, it was not the twitching, shrew-like mammals who answered the call, but a far more ancient lineage, the direct, feathered descendants of the great theropods themselves, the birds. 3 million years later, in the humid, tangled wilds of North America, the two great contenders for the throne would finally meet. This was the stage for the Great American Interchange, a battle not just for territory, but for the very soul of the continent. Meet Titanis Walleri, a creature forged in the isolation of a distant avian empire of Forus, one of the feared terror birds. Standing taller than a man, its eyes are obsidian chips of pure predatory focus. It has cornered its prey, a small, flighty proto-camel, desperately trying to find a path through the scrub. Titanis does not bite its prey like the mammals who rule this new world. It doesn't need crushing jaws or venom. Its weapon is a specialized, razor-edged, bony scimitar, a heavy-duty cranial axe. It runs, a blur of muscle and deadly precision, preparing to deliver a vertical, downward strike that would shatter the prey's spine and end the chase instantly. This is the axe-beaked technique, perfected over 40 million years of South American rule. But the ground trembles beneath more than just the massive bird's stride. A low, collective growl ripples through the tall grass. Titanis, the solitary striker, the avian ruler, pauses. It senses an alien threat, a new strategy it has never needed to learn: cooperation. From the dense palmettos emerge a pack of formidable Ice Age mammals, robust, pack-hunting dire wolves, and leading them a hulking smilodon, a saber-toothed cat, muscles bunched for a lethal spring. The wolves, small compared to the Titanis, are bound by a complex, coordinated social contract. They fan out, not to engage the bird directly, but to restrict its blinding speed and isolate its strike. The smilodon, the feline general, eyes the bird's vulnerable legs. This wasn't a fight between two predators. It was a collision between two fundamental philosophies of survival. The avian philosophy, speed, power, solitary mastery, and the surgical kill. The mammalian philosophy, pack intelligence, endurance, social strategy, and collective defense. In this North American crucible, the isolated, ancient majesty of the giant birds was about to face the relentless, adaptive intelligence of the rising mammalian dynasties. The contest for the crown had begun, and the odds were stacked against the feathered kings. To understand the giant birds, we must first look back at the terrifying moment of their opportunity. Chicxulub was the ultimate reset button. When the darkness lifted, the world was a silent morgue. The megafauna, the 50-ton sauropods, the armored ankylosaurs, were gone. The great ecological niches, the roles of supreme herbivore and supreme hunter, were suddenly, glaringly vacant. The survivors were small. Most mammals were burrowing insectivores, timid, barely clinging to the periphery of existence. The birds, however, carried a crucial genetic advantage. They were dinosaurs. Specifically, they were the surviving branch of the theropods, the two-legged, carnivorous lineage that gave us Velociraptor and T-Rex. The catastrophe had stripped them of their cousins, but left their evolutionary blueprint intact. They were literally poised to reclaim the inheritance of their ancestors. The immediate post-catastrophe climate, the Paleocene and Eocene, was a world of high humidity, thick tropical forests stretching to the poles, and an abundance of resources. This was a biological blank slate, a greenhouse world, a perfect laboratory for rapid, explosive evolution. Why did they grow so large? And why did they sacrifice flight? The answer lies in the unforgiving economics of the natural world. Flight demands a monumental investment of energy and specialized, lightweight anatomy. When food is plentiful on the ground, and when there are no large, specialized predators to escape from, flight becomes an unnecessary luxury, an anatomical burden. Evolution is ruthless in its efficiency. If an animal can save energy by walking, running, and growing larger, gaining strength, intimidating smaller rivals, and accessing tougher food sources, it will. In the absence of giant competition, the avian skeleton, which already possessed incredible strength and efficiency, derived from the need for flight, was rapidly repurposed. Wings became vestigial. The powerful leg muscles of their theropod ancestors were magnified, and the beak, no longer just a tool for eating or preening, began to morph into weapons or specialized implements of colossal size. The very first of the giant contenders emerged in the Paleocene tropics of Europe and North America. They were the Gastornithids, the initial feathered titans of the New World. To early science, they looked like the epitome of brutality, a colossal, 8-foot-tall silhouette topped with a beak the size of a human head, thick and fiercely curved. For decades, the narrative was fixed. These were the first avian apex predators, the terror of the Eocene, savagely stalking the timid, tiny ancestors of the horse and rider. Imagine the scene. A miniature, 3-foot-high ancestor of a horse, desperately trying to hide, only to be crushed under the massive feet of this feathered behemoth, its body torn apart by that monumental, hook-tipped beak. Gastornis was the initial answer to the fallen T-Rex. Yet, the story of Gastornis holds one of the most significant and dramatic reversals in modern paleontology. It is a cautionary tale about judging an animal solely by the size of its weapon. In 2013, a pivotal isotopic analysis of Gastornis bone material was published. Scientists, scrutinizing the very chemical signature of the bird's diet, discovered something astonishing. The ratio of carbon isotopes in the bone profile matched, not that of a hypercarnivore, but precisely that of a herbivore. The massive, seemingly brutal beak was not an instrument of murder, but a specialized tool, a monumental living nutcracker. The tough, wood-encased seeds and fibrous plants of the humid Eocene required immense force to process. Gastornis was not a predator. It was a peaceful, colossal frugivore, a close, distant relative of the modern chicken and goose. They were the living nutcrackers of the European jungle. They roamed those steaming forests, these feathery colossi, not seeking blood, but patiently cracking open the ironclad bounty of the ancient trees. Their imposing size and fearsome appearance became a magnificent bluff, a primary defense mechanism that deterred the nascent mammalian carnivores from even attempting a challenge. They held their niche not through violence, but through sheer, overwhelming, peaceful bulk. The lesson of the Gastornithids is profound. The true path to dominance is not always found in the drawing of blood, but in the efficiency of adaptation. They were the gentle giants, and their long reign in the Eocene was a testament to the power of a specialized, plant-based diet. But their peace, like all things, was fragile. Their specialized diet left them vulnerable when the climate began to cool, and the tropical forests gave way to dry savannas. A climate change that sealed the fate of the first wave of avian titans. As Gastornis declined in Europe, a truly terrifying new chapter was unfolding on the isolated, independent island continent of South America. Here, cut off from the global crucible of competition, evolution could run wild, perfecting a single lethal design: the Forus racidae, the infamous terror birds. For a staggering 43 million years, an incomprehensible stretch of geological time, these avian monsters ruled without peer. South America was their kingdom, and every mammal on the continent was their potential prey. The zenith of this deadly dynasty was reached with Kelenken Guillemot. Its dimensions were horrifying, standing over 10 feet tall, but its most shocking feature was its head. Kelenken possessed the largest skull of any bird known to science, a monstrous, elongated, compressed cranium housing the ultimate weapon. The Forest-Racid strategy was the polar opposite of the Gastornis bluff. They embraced the brutality of their theropod ancestry. They were not merely fast, they were hyper-runners, built like specialized pursuit predators, their hunting technique echoing the precision and ferocity of their distant cousin, Velociraptor. Watch them hunt. They engage in a breathtaking, rapid chase, using their immense speed to close the distance. But the kill is what defines them. They do not possess the grinding, bone-crushing jaws of a mammalian predator. Instead, they utilize their massive, hooked beak as a specialized, hydraulic tool. The attack is a series of vertical, stabbing blows, a rapid, downforce impact delivered with surgical precision. The terror bird's neck muscles were colossal, designed to drive that massive head downward like a cranial axe or a pickaxe, aiming for vulnerable areas, the spine, the brain case, or the chest cavity. This strike delivered immediate, incapacitating trauma, utilizing momentum and gravity rather than muscle squeeze. It was a kill perfected for efficiency and speed. They were the alpha predators of their world, facing off against giant, primitive crocodiles, flightless ducks, and the unique, strange mammals of the South American realm. They enforced the law of the savanna, shaping the very evolution of every creature that shared their domain. To be a mammal in South America for 43 million years meant to live in the perpetual shadow of the terror bird. Their legacy is one of pure, unadulterated evolutionary success achieved through unmatched, lethal specialization. The reign of the terror birds, spanning millennia, was ultimately vulnerable to a single geological event, the slow, inexorable rise of the Isthmus of Panama. Approximately 3 million years ago, this land bridge completed its formation, shattering the isolation that had protected the southern continent for so long. This marked the beginning of the Great American Interchange. The consequences were immediate and dramatic. It was a two-way street, but it was the northern invaders, the mammals, who possessed the critical adaptive edge. Only one species of terror bird, Titanis Walleri, made the migration north, a bold, massive avian conquistador pushing into a strange, new world. It established itself in the wilds of Florida and Texas, proving the sheer power of the Forest-Racid design. But the north was an entirely different ecological landscape. Here, the feathered hunter faced opponents forged in a crucible of constant intercontinental competition, the highly adaptable, newly evolved mammalian carnivores. This was where the fundamental difference between avian and mammalian strategy became fatally apparent. Titanis was the master of the solitary, surgical strike, a genius of precision speed. But its competitors were the saber-toothed cats, Smilodon, and the cunning, highly social dire wolves. The terror bird was fast, but it was limited. It was a single, immense weapon. It could deliver a crushing blow, but it had no coordinated defense, no complex social hunting strategy, and critically, no learned experience in dealing with an opponent that used pack tactics to cut off escape routes and exploit weakness. The mammals, utilizing superior social intelligence, communication, and endurance, turned the tables. A lone Titanis could easily dispatch a lone wolf, but against a coordinated pack that could harass, confuse, and drive the bird into a dead end, the specialized avian giant became a vulnerable target. Furthermore, the rising intelligence and dexterity of animals like the Smilodon allowed them to master new hunting styles. This confrontation, which began as a magnificent duel, ended as a slow, strategic displacement. The avian giants were simply outcompeted by the versatility and strategic depth of the mammalian
to the
pack
Patagonian
hunters.
plains.
The extinction of Titanis in North America served as a grim foreshadowing for its cousins in the south, who would eventually be superseded by the influx of sophisticated predators like the ancestors of jaguars and mountain lions. But once again, anatomical analysis revealed a shocking truth. The legs, while enormous, lacked the slender, specialized features of a pursuit predator. The skull, while large, lacked the lethal, sharp-edged axe-head structure of the Forasracidae. Brontornis was built like a gigantic, flightless warhorse, a peaceful herbivore. Its immense size and fearsome, muscular appearance were in all probability a grand evolutionary bluff, a masterclass in evolutionary mimicry. By adopting the sheer, intimidating bulk and silhouette of the dominant apex predators, the true terror birds, Brontornis was afforded safe passage. Its monstrous visage was a visual deterrent, signaling to any passing predator, "I am too big, too difficult, and too dangerous to bother." It was the original case of a gentle giant successfully living under the terrifying banner of its carnivorous relatives. It used its terrifying presence not to kill, but to graze peacefully, embodying the defensive power of colossal size in the brutal Patagonian savannas. As the continents wrestled with competition, the isolated island landmasses of the southern hemisphere continued to cook up unique evolutionary recipes. In Australia, the land of bizarre marsupials, evolved the dromornithids, famously and misleadingly dubbed the demon ducks of doom. While they were far more closely related to chickens and geese, their size earned them the epithet of demons. The king of this family was Dromornis stertoni, reaching a staggering 600 kilograms, 1,300 pounds. This was Australia's answer to the elephant, filling the megafaunal niche in the warm, wet forests of the Miocene. Unlike the runners of South America, Dromornis was built for pure mass, a slow-moving, colossal browser. They were the architects of their landscape, their immense size and feeding habits shaping the ancient Australian bush. Their decline was a slow, drawn-out tragedy, directly linked to Australia's shift from a land of abundant water to the arid landscape we know today. The specialized wet forest diet of the Dromornis could not be sustained in the encroaching aridity, proving that even the most massive creatures can be defeated by a slow, subtle shift in climate. Now turn to New Zealand, a land where evolution achieved the highest degree of isolation. For 85 million years, this paradise was virtually free of terrestrial mammals. Here, the bird line took an unprecedented evolutionary detour. The moa became the epitome of flightless success. They didn't just become big, they lost their wings entirely, a final, absolute commitment to life on the ground. They were the dominant grazers and browsers, filling every herbivorous role. Their only natural counterpoint was the terrifying Haast's eagle, Harpagornis murray, the largest eagle to ever live. Evolving solely to hunt the giant moa, it was the ultimate, specialized avian predator, its talons the size of a man's hand, capable of diving at extreme speeds to bring down a 200-pound bird. Theirs was a pristine, fragile equilibrium, a self-contained avian drama that had played out perfectly for millions of years. The arrival of the Maori in the 13th century delivered the fatal shock to this delicate system. The moa had never encountered a terrestrial, bipedal predator. They possessed no instinctual fear of humans. Their defense mechanism was not to flee, but to stand, confused, often walking curiously toward their ultimate demise. They were easy targets, slow breeding, massive sources of meat, feathers, and bone. In a span of barely 100 years, the human hunt drove all 11 species of moa to complete extinction. And with the extinction of their primary, sole food source, the magnificent, specialized haast eagle followed its prey into oblivion. Isolation, which gave them their majesty, made them fatally vulnerable to the third, most devastating wave of extinction, the anthropogenic wave. Finally, we look at the ultimate heavyweights, the Epiornis, or elephant birds of Madagascar. These were the most massive birds in history, with the largest species, Vorom titan, potentially exceeding 700 kilograms, 1,500 pounds. They were, in essence, colossal, overgrown relatives of the modern kiwi. Their immense eggs, with a capacity of up to 11 liters, are believed to be the inspiration behind the myth of the gargantuan bird roc in Arabian folklore. Like the moa, these peaceful, giant grazers were casualties of human expansion. They were hunted, their nests raided for their valuable, enormous eggs, and by the 17th century, the heaviest bird that ever lived had vanished from the face of the earth. Today, the only living link to the mighty terror birds is the unassuming Seriema, a knee-high, elegant bird of the South American grasslands.
If we isolate the marker here,
watch them hunt,
the degradation
they
slows
stalk,
significantly.
and then deliver a lightning-fast, vertical blow to kill their prey, a living echo of the axe-beaked technique perfected by Kelenken 40 million years ago.
We have the capability, but should we use it?
But the story of the giants is not quite over. We stand at the precipice of a new ethical dilemma. The year 2025 has seen scientific proposals, the very real project of de-extinction, aiming to use genetic engineering to potentially bring back the moa. We are on the verge of acquiring the technical capacity to resurrect the creatures we so carelessly erased. But this raises the most profound question of all. Are we ready for the consequences? Are we, as a species, wise enough to return a giant to a world that no longer belongs to it? A world whose complex, modern ecosystems have long since filled the void left by their absence. If this epic story of survival, strategy, and tragedy has fueled your curiosity, smash that like button and subscribe to the channel. Join our community of explorers as we continue to unearth the hidden histories of our world.